Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, there's a place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Also, real quick, if you want, there is an extra 2K talk over on my Patreon that you can get access to with a pledge of $3 or more. Do the or more, and I will be very happy. But if you want to get some extra content, that is a way to do that, so just letting you know that that's out there. But today I wanted to talk about the Timberwolves and the rumors surrounding them trading their first overall pick and whether or not they should actually do that. So apparently the Timberwolves are interested in trading their first pick because as an organization, they fuck up at the draft a lot. Like a lot. And I think just basically they're kind of giving up on drafting players because they're like, look, we fuck up so much. How are we even confident that we're not going to make a mistake again? Because pretty much Jarrett Culver is already a bust. Like, obviously he's not already a bust, but you know, it doesn't look good. And I wish I had been more vocal about that. That's kind of, I always have draft opinions and I don't talk about them because usually they're bad. But that was one of them that I was right on, but I just didn't say anything about it. But the Timberwolves historically have been one of the worst drafting teams in the league. One of the worst franchises, period, but especially bad at drafting. So they find themselves with the #1 pick in this year's draft, a draft class that is very uncertain. A lot of people think it's a bad draft class. Some are saying there are some sleeper hits here. Some are saying that there's no superstar here. I kind of agree with that last one. Unless LaMelo Ball ends up really living up to some seriously high expectations. And because of that, the Timberwolves are like, look, this is already a place where we could really make a mistake. This is a place where most teams could make a mistake, and we're the Timberwolves, so we're probably going to make a mistake. And you know what? I'll give them some credit for having some self-awareness on that part. I think part of that is the reason why they were pretty confident trading away their pick from next season in the D'Angelo Russell trade, because they were like, look, we're not going to draft someone good with that pick anyways. We might as well trade this for a guy who we know is pretty good. D'Angelo Russell might not be all that. As a matter of fact, I think he's pretty damn overrated. However, he is pretty good. And most of the time when the Timberwolves draft somebody, they end up not being pretty good, so you might as well just trade that pick. But the question is, should the Timberwolves actually do this? Well, based on what my draft friends have said, the Timberwolves are probably looking to draft LaMelo Ball if they do draft somebody, and apparently their GM is like not a fan of players like Anthony Edwards, like guys who are like more physical but aren't as skillful, and there's questions about how motivated Edwards is actually as a basketball player. And we obviously saw how that worked last time the Timberwolves got a guy like that who was like a physical anomaly but wasn't all that skilled and had questions about his actual interest in basketball and his desire to improve, and that ended up just completely fucking them with Andrew Wiggins. So I do understand having some hesitancy on Anthony Edwards, and then LaMelo Ball is, I don't think it's fair to say that he is either boom or bust, but he does have high boom or bust potential in that he could be a superstar, he could be a bust, but I also think he could be okay. Like, I think he could very much be like his brother, except a little bit better of a shooter, but not quite the defensive player. And because of that, he's a risky pick for any team in the league, let alone a team that is known for being horrible at drafting players and horrible at developing young talent. So those are pretty much the top two guys you're going to be looking at. If you're not getting one of those two, then you should either trade back or trade the pick, period. It would be stupid, in my opinion, to draft James Wiseman because A, he's not as good on defense as a lot of people think he is, according to the draft people that I talk to, and B, karl-Anthony Towns should be playing center. I don't agree with the notion that he should be playing power forward just because he's bad at defense. Not to mention that Cat has consistently gotten better at defense. So yeah, I would not. I understand their hesitancy here. I understand being like, look, Edwards, athletic, has questions about his commitment to basketball, and then Ball, huge bust potential, and he really has to be handled delicately to make sure he works out. So the Timberwolves are not the best franchise for either of those two things. They're not the best franchise for really anything, but if they were to trade this pick, who would they trade it for? Now, it seems like Bradley Beal is off the table. I will say confidently that Devin Booker is off the table. I think if the end of this season went differently, maybe he wouldn't have been if you had some other assets to throw in there, like throwing Malik Beasley's restricted free agency at them. But the fact that the Suns had the run that they did in the bubble, I think they're pretty confident now that they can make something happen. And I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they'll make a run at it. And it's for that reason that I'm pretty confident that they're going to hold on to Devin Booker as long as they possibly can. Also, the Suns are like, I mean, what are they without Devin Booker? So I don't think they can get Devin Booker. Don't think they can get Bradley Beal. After that, who could potentially be available? Like, there's Buddy Hield, but Buddy Hield is not good enough to trade a number 1 overall pick. Definitely not that good. On top of that, you already have Malik Beasley, who's like at least 80% as good as Buddy Hield. So I wouldn't do that one. There aren't really any superstar level players. I mean, do you want to trade that first pick for Russell Westbrook? Because I sure as fuck would not do that. I definitely would not do that. That'd be real stupid. Maybe. Nah, the idea that I'm thinking doesn't even work. Like, I don't even know what I was going to say. My mind just went blank. Maybe Chris Paul. That's what I was going to say. Maybe, but like, I would not do that either. I would not trade a first overall pick for a 35-year-old making a whole lot of money. So who are the star level players that you're trading for? And it's been established that the Timberwolves want to trade for some more established talent. Do you want to trade it for like Draymond Green? I think Draymond's interesting. He would certainly help the defense and help Karl-Anthony Towns on that end. However, I think he's much better in Golden State's system, and I seriously doubt the Timberwolves replicate that system. So I don't think that'd really work for Draymond Green. It wouldn't be as bad as I think people would think because there is decent shooting in Minnesota. On top of D'Lo being a pretty good pick and roll partner, and Draymond could roll and kick it out to Cat or Beasley, and I don't think that'd be horrible, but I don't think that's first overall pick worthy, not to mention the money that Draymond makes at his age for a number 1 overall pick. So I wouldn't make that trade. I'm also not confident that Golden State would even make that trade. It's weird that a number 1 overall pick is like so much less valuable than it used to be, at least in this draft class, I should say, because most people don't think there's a superstar available here. So like, the bar for what you can get for the number 1 overall pick is not nearly as high as it is in many other cases. Who else could you potentially trade for? I'm trying to think. I doubt the Celtics would give you Jaylen Brown. That'd be too much of an ask. The Brooklyn Nets, I mean, would you do the first pick for Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie? I don't know that the Nets would do that just because they don't have much use for the first overall pick. And if they wanted that pick, it'd be no better than the Timberwolves having that pick for a star level player. So that's kind of a wash. Would you do the number 1 pick for Zach LaVine? I wouldn't do that. I would love if they did that because we could get Anthony Edwards and whoever we get at number 4. And I'd be pretty happy with that instead of Zach LaVine, but don't see that one happening. So that's not the option. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be the worst outcome because I don't think that's much different than trading their next year's pick for D'Angelo Russell. Just getting a guy who's not amazing, but you know he's going to be pretty good and you're usually bad at drafting. So that's a thing. Maybe the Indiana Pacers would give you Malcolm Brogdon and their pick and like Aaron Holiday or something like that, but that's not really a great trade for the number 1 pick. Like, I'd rather just have Anthony Edwards. I'm drawing up a blank here. I really don't know what the trade is where you're getting like a star level good player that is either worth a number 1 overall pick or isn't too good for a number 1 overall pick in this draft. So I don't know that there's a whole lot of prospects out there in terms of trading. So honestly, if I'm in the position of the Minnesota Timberwolves, for them, I would take Anthony Edwards. It seems like they're going to take LaMelo Ball. I honestly would suggest Edwards because I think he's going to be very solid. And I think with Beasley, you could run him at the 2 and run Edwards at the 3 just because Anthony Edwards is like 230 pounds, so he can play small forward. I don't think Beasley can play small forward, and if you took Melo, he's playing one of the 2 guard spots, so you're kind of kicking out Malik Beasley. And I would argue that Edwards, Beasley, D'Lo, and Cat is a pretty good starting lineup, and then you get a power forward in there who can play some defense, and I think that's a pretty good situation to be in. You had the number 1 overall pick, and I know Minnesota, I don't know, I'm acting like I'm talking to them directly. They're not, the Minnesota organization figureheads are not watching this video right now. But I know Minnesota has a history of poor drafting. However, I think it'd be a bad decision to just pass up on Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball in exchange for a guy who's really not worth either of them just because you're scared of fucking up again. Like, you can't be, if you're going to operate your organization just out of fear of messing up, then you're going to mess up. Like, that's kind of a lesson in life, but obviously also in this circumstance. Like, if you're walking around always concerned about making a mistake, that's only going to amplify your potential of making a mistake because you're so concerned about it. Just draft the guy. And honestly, if Anthony Edwards ends up being a bust or LaMelo Ball ends up being a bust, I don't know that it will really be on Minnesota. So if you're worried about the reputation hit of it, I don't know how much blame Minnesota would actually get for that. And then they would obviously like to have a good player for the franchise, and they want to keep karl-Anthony Towns around. But I don't think trading the number 1 overall pick for just like a pretty good player is going to make Cat all that happy. So whatever it is, just draft someone. I would not recommend trading that pick. Unless somehow a guy like Bradley Beal became available, like then I would trade the number 1 overall pick for him. But I would not recommend it otherwise. So yeah, don't trade the 1st overall pick. My mind went numb looking for trade options out there. I mean, maybe the Sixers decide they want to trade Ben Simmons, and then I would do that one in a fucking heartbeat. But I don't think the number 1 overall pick is all you're going to have to give up. Maybe D'Lo in the number 1 overall pick could convince them, but I wouldn't even do that if I was the Sixers. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Again, there is that Patreon exclusive 2K talk. If you want to go check that out, there is a new one every 2 weeks. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.